Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh, Lord Jesus. What is up, everyone? It is your girl, Miss Sophia the Diva. It's been a minute since I've been on here. Okay. But tonight we're going to talk about the mid-season finale. We're also going to briefly talk about last week's episode. I have to touch on that because this is a crazy season. Tonight's episode, I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus. Why, Lord, they have to shoot ghosts. But he kind of set himself up to get shot. Now, some people were complaining that they feel as though the writers pulled a Game of Thrones and kind of got lazy during this episode. I kind of see where they did that because some of the things that Ghost was saying or James St. Patrick was saying just didn't seem steeped in reality, had a lot of hubris behind it. And so because of this hubris, everybody was like, shut the hell up. So we just gonna shoot your ass and get it over with. But before I get into the season finale, let's go ahead and dive in very quickly because I'm not gonna hold you guys too long because some of us gotta go. I gotta go to work in the morning. Hey. Okay. Yeah, make that money, girl. Oh, love, at least I can sit at home. Hey, praise God. So last week's episode was called Scorched Earth, very Shakespearean, very, a lot went on. That's when we saw cousin Benny died in this episode. I don't know why he brought a knife to a gunfight. Tommy's a goddamn thug. Okay. I was very perplexed and confused by that. So yeah, cousin Benny, Lord Jesus, have mercy. Jesse Williams thugged out. That was shocking. And I was trying to figure out, I said, is this Cash's father? And it is. But I was unclear if he asked Tommy, is Cash going to see you again? And I was like, aren't you his father? Tommy just was subbing in as an uncle figure, not really a father figure. Okay. Sad that Keisha got her head blown off and brains everywhere, but I'm just saying, okay. What else happened? Clenched mouth Blanca, she chasing down every lead she can. Tate got fucked by Ramona and Ghost because he too was suffering from a case of hubris. I just love that word. Y'all know what that means, right? It means, kind of just a little bit too overly confident about yourself. That ego is huge. Bunch of bravado, that type of thing. I don't know. But in Scorched Earth, we saw a lot of moving parts going on. And one of the bigger highlights in that episode was the fact that Tasha is so angry and bitter at the choices that in some respects she made, that she will say certain things to Ghost. Now, what I was concerned about is the fact that, yes, she did have markings on her body from when. Wait a minute. This shit still, y'all know I recorded the clip when he confronted her about Tariq selling drugs through the daycare center. I was dying. He was like, Tasha, because if something happened to him, his blood is going to be on your hands. And I was like, oh my God, this shit is hilarious. But I don't think the bruising came from him. I think it came from her fighting with Keisha. I don't know what y'all think. So then, let me see what else. Anybody commenting? Okay. And so also another highlight from this episode is the fact that she was able to lead Clench Mouth and Sax, who's like rogue all of a sudden, which we kind of knew he would do that because every time someone gets suspended in these shows, they always go rogue because they just got to get their man, right? And so him and Blanca are working together. Tasha tells them exactly where Terry Silver's body is, and Sax tries to use Dre as a means to set Ghost up. Ghost, meanwhile, sets up Dre to take the fall for murdering Jason. He almost didn't kill Jason, almost didn't make it out alive because Tommy was actually trying to have Jason kill him. He sends a text message and tells him. Meanwhile, when Tommy is having the family discussion with Tasha and Tariq, he tells them, Keisha got shot. Tasha was one of the worst actresses to try to feign off like she didn't know what the hell had happened to. Oh my God, Keisha's dead! And Tariq looking at him like, bitch, I know you lying. So he knew that his mom had killed Keisha. In addition, one of the other, I think, bigger highlights, I expected Terry Silver's body to be more decomposed than what it was. That was disturbing. And I think Tariq confronting his father at the club and telling him that you may have given me life, but you were never my father. I think one of the biggest things that Tariq does not realize, and I know a lot of us as teenagers may have been wayward and not been able to understand our parents' perspective about certain things. But with all that education that this young man has, you would think he would realize that your father been taking penitentiary chances for your life to create a life so that you wouldn't have to be about that life. And I think that Tariq totally doesn't get it. I think that Tariq just wants to do it because he's got a point to prove. No matter how much he says he hates his father, he's trying to prove a point that he can do it better than him. Okay? But now, on to this week's episode. I just want to highlight those from the beginning because usually I do this. Sometimes I'm motivated to do it and sometimes I'm just not. So I'm sorry, people. So Tariq, at this point, I think Ghost needs to just let these people go. And what we saw in this episode, when we get the theme song, no one can stop me. I'm all the way up. Because, you know, now he all the way up. But he kept saying things that led me to believe Ghost, all that bravado and bragging and telling people you don't need them, you don't want them, it might just cost you your life. Or at the very least, injure you. And we saw, of course, at the end of this episode that Ghost was shot, falling from his throne in Club Truth. I think there's a lot of use of the imagery and the scene there to show us this is a man that's fallen. He's on top of the world and now he's being toppled. Mainly because people like Tommy and Tasha, they never wanted him to go legit. They like the dope game. They like the life. The problem is that they brought children into it which complicated the equation. I think that if you are in the dope game, maybe you shouldn't be having children because you put everyone at risk. Tate is a man that's broken and is willing to do any and everything to get vengeance because, of course, we hear the announcement where Ghost is now going to be running as the LG, the lieutenant governor, with Walsh. One of the things I didn't like about Walsh in this particular episode is the fact that she immediately switched up on him when he said he had lost the project, the Queen Child's project. And she was like, well, you better get some because otherwise your running mate gonna be Tate. It's like, heifer, really? Like, why don't you use your political prowess and help him get the permits and things that he needs? We learned a little bit more about Ghost's background. I was so happy to see Glenn Turman in this episode as his Uncle Gabe. So his solution is to go to his father's, we learn later is his father's jazz club, purchase it, and make it a music center for children because Raina loved music and he wants to use that as the Queen's Child's project. I thought that was admirable. But what we didn't get a clear understanding, but I guess it was meant for us to infer it, is the fact that Ghost's father was killed because of dope runners. And now what makes me wonder, was those dope kids that possibly had something to do with killing his father, was it Kanan? Because we learned that Ghost goes to live with Tommy right after his father's funeral. Okay, so that's something to think about. Maybe we will explore that in January. January 5th is when it comes back. Bradley, what did you say? Last time I seen Pal was on American Airlines 2 weeks ago. Okay, Bradley. So, I mean, you got to catch up, dude. You got to catch up. Download the app. You get the first 7 days free. You can watch all 10 episodes for free within 7 days. So I thought that was interesting that we got a little backstory on it. What else? I like Warner at this point. Warner is kind of a straight chaser. You know, he knows how to win a case as the government, as the feds. The problem is that Blanca is allowing Sachs to corrupt her sharp police skills. And I like the fact that he said the same thing I said. Okay, well, it's great that you got this evidence and we know where Terry Silver is, but doesn't that kind of implicate Tasha? And I was thinking the same thing. Say, how is it she told you exactly where to go to find Terry Silver's body and y'all found it, okay? And I'm just like, I get you don't want a conviction or whatever, just want a warrant to prove a point. But there are certain ways you have to go about to get a warrant. And not only that, there is something called fruit of the poisonous tree. If at any time you take evidence that is in violation of someone's Fourth Amendment rights, honey, you get that. That's what happens. That's how evidence gets kicked out of court. It can be construed that way and viewed that way. Now, we know that Sachs said nothing about the fact that Dre had planted the cell phone. Okay, so Blanca, girl, this episode, I was like, she is so dumb. She is so dumb. Okay, so I was very confused. Is she still on? Who's still on? Did the attorney who was smashing? Okay, Bradley, you behind big time. You need to go back and watch season 5. You need to watch season 6. If you haven't watched it, we're on season 6. This is the final season of Power. So either way, let me get back on point here. Tate, they suborned perjury from him. Basically, he gave a signed sworn affidavit saying that James mentioned that he was angry and upset about Tasha being with Terry Silver. I don't know how they expect that to stand. And I'm glad that even Warner and the judge ultimately was like, this shit is some bullshit. Sachs ain't shit. It's amazing to see James and Simon Stern getting along. I thought that was interesting. But, you know, just like he said, you got a friend in me. But we see in one conversation, he says that, you know, ain't no friends in the street. Because that's a lesson he learned from Kanan. And we know Kanan ain't no friend to nobody. He just loyal to himself. Hell, 50 Cent's just loyal to himself. We're going to be really honest about it. But I love him. He is the king of petty. He is Petty Patrick. Okay. Shout out to Real Talk Kim, Pastor Kim for that one. I was like, Petty Patrick. I like that. The ghost of Angela pops up, and basically this is her letting him go as she crosses over to the spirit world. She said something very profound and interesting when she told him that I couldn't be with you on this leg of your journey, and that it's okay for you to be with Ramona because she'll be good for you. Just tell her all the good parts because she ain't from where we're from. I said, okay, ghost of Angela. Okay. James said that he was free, but I don't think he realizes the price of his freedom. No one wants him to be successful. No one wants him to rise to the occasion. Okay. That's the bottom line. You got Tommy, you got Tate, you got Tasha, you got Tariq. And I really am surprised that he passed the background check. But hell, all his enemies are dead damn near. So who was going to really talk? And Tommy and Tasha ain't going to talk about that shit because they don't want to be implicated in anything. Okay. But after having his talk with Angela, he solidifies and expresses the fact that he wants Ramona. Okay. Blanca obtains a sneak and peek warrant. That means that I've never heard of such a thing. I don't remember hearing about this in criminal procedure. But okay, I guess that's a legitimate warrant. I've never heard of such things. Maybe it's a New York thing. But I guess basically they go into this hotel room and search for stuff, but put everything back in place as is. So I said, okay. So Blanca was happy about that, and they found the cell phone. Meanwhile, during the formal announcement that Wash is going to have James run with her as her candidate as the lieutenant governor, we see Tommy hanging in the background, just hanging there looking like a damn stalker, just hating. He goes to the grave to visit with Raina. Tasha shows up, and he's visiting with Raina because he wants to let her know that, baby girl, I'm doing this for you. I finally made it. I don't particularly care to go to graveyards to visit loved ones. I know some people do it. Some people like to go put flowers on the grave, and that's fine. But I just know that they're not there. I just think that they're wherever we are. I think they're in our hearts, and I think that wherever their presence was, that's where they are, But to each their own. But anyway, Tasha's so bitter. He told her she was free. I was like, girl, you've been telling people call you Mrs. Green. So now you free to be you. And I just got to be free. Y'all know I can't sing, but that was in my spirit. Okay, that was in my spirit. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Millie. And so, she want to be free. So, girl, get free or die trying, I guess. I don't know. Warner, once again, has Blanca before him. And then once they talk about the totality of the circumstances, that's when Warner realizes, have you been talking to Sax? Do you know he probably planted that phone there? I'm like, okay, whatever. Next thing we know after this is resolved, that, honey, we can't do nothing for you. Tate came to James at Club Truth to talk to him, to apologize, and to try to smooth things over and to warn him. But James, this is the part where I say the writers, we can kind of think that maybe the writers got a little lazy on it. The look on whose face? Dawn. I think there's probably a delay. I don't know why Facebook does delays. It's annoying as hell. But Tate came to say his piece, and he wanted to tell him something about his son, and probably also to warn him about the fact that the feds were coming after him for Terry Silva. But he was like, you know what? You should be good at losing, Tate. You are a loser. Basically, that's what he was telling him. I'm like, damn, James, really? He's already down. And now you think you're up, but you know that you are standing on a house of cards. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just cocky and disrespectful. And that's why Tate was like, okay, fuck you then. I ain't got nothing to say. And he went on about his merry way. Next thing we know, here comes some more. Dre comes with Tariq. Tariq told him ain't no bad blood between him, but here I got somebody to see. It's Dre. Dre is hot. He wants to get out of town, and he need he need money, and $250,000 ain't gonna cut it. James tells him, that's all I got, bro. Okay. So he tells him meet him in an hour. But during this meeting within an hour, he meets up with Tommy because he gets a text message from Tommy. And Tommy says they need to meet. While they are meeting and talking, Tommy tells him, I know you didn't kill Keisha. And then again, James, which disturbed me because this seems so out of character for James. When he goes in, tells Tommy, you need me. Even if you hate me, you need me to hate me. And I'm just like, what the fuck is... And then all of a sudden they get shot at. And then Tommy takes off running. And they have a shootout at this warehouse. This is when I was very confused and perplexed. I said, what the fuck is going on? Tasha's foreshadowing. Okay, I got you. Tasha's face. Yeah, so, I mean, they have this shootout at the OK Corral. Tommy disappears, and some old man is found shot. I was like, I hope that wasn't Uncle Gabe. I was like, whose body is this? Then, he sets Dre up. He calls the security guard and tells him, go ahead and release that footage so we can get rid of Dre's ass. but I'm still confused. Was anybody else lost, dazed, and confused by what happened with the shootout with Tommy? Did Tommy lure him there to set him up to get shot? Because Tommy kept saying, I have nothing, and it's true. His whole crew is either dead or in jail, in federal lockup. That's all we know that didn't happen to them, okay? We also hear that thing where they said that Kanan taught them that there aren't any friends in the street. And that's true. There ain't no friends in a cubicle either. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. James was saying everything. My friend, and that is another way to look at it, Don. James was saying everything he wanted to say. Basically, he was telling everybody, kiss my whole black ass. You ain't shit, motherfuckers. That's what he was saying. I mean, but I just felt like, oh my God, I would have waited at least until I got to the governor's seat where you got some good security, and just, whatever. But I want to know who sent the hitters. Was Tommy behind that? Meanwhile, across town, let me upgrade you. Tamika 2.0. Why don't you come see me sometime, Sax? Lord Cooper needs to be disbarred and gone about his miserable life. Is the bottom line. The affidavit, Blanca, basically you got played too. And Tamika's right. Sax just need to go ahead and give up the ghost and just let that shit go. And I like the meeting that they had where Tamika tried to set it up and let them know, see, this is how it's going to go, see. I was like, where did she get this damn accent from? Okay, let's see. James was saying everything he wanted to say. I think that was something from his past, exactly. Yeah, Don, I was really confused by the shootout at the OK Corral. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was perplexed and confused. I was like, so who's shooting and why they shooting and where Tommy? Is Tommy dead too? Did he get hit? I mean, was this a setup? I didn't know. Let's see. So this meeting with Warner, Blanca, and Sax and all them, Tamika basically turns Warner's mind to get him to do the corrupt thing. Okay, when they meet up. At one point, James holds Vincent at gunpoint and asks him about, do he know anybody on the inside the Bureau of Prisons? Oh, let me back it up. When Tommy met with him, they basically were like, Proctor screwed all of us. He had a tape that I thought he had destroyed where it came up that I had killed Lobos. And I'm just like, Proctor told you before you shot him, it wasn't over. I think that it all comes down to when y'all murdered that dude in Proctor's apartment or condo, whatever it was. So I don't know, but Tommy, if that shit comes out, you fucked. If they ever find what's in that locket, and was it Annalisa's, whatever her name is, locket, you fucked. But Ghost goes and confronts Vinny, and we later on find out, we'll flash forward to that part. We learn that he sends a cell phone to Two-Bit to talk to him. Don said that Ghost, he had accomplished the goal from season 1. The goal since season 1 was to what for Ghost? Get out the dope game. Okay, because I mean, it's not a lifetime. Maybe you what's the female, the baddest drug dealer, the Colombian drug dealer, Griselda Blanco or something like that. I forgot what her name is. I mean, maybe you can live to 60-some years old without somebody busting your head wide open. But I mean, you always got to look over your shoulders, always got to watch your front and back. That's not the kind of life you want to lead. Pa shows up with her crying ass. She get on my damn nerves. You know good in the hell well James ain't shot your sister, and he ain't gonna tell you who did it because everybody know Tommy shot her. And if you can't put 2 and 2 together, girl, just let it go. Oh, Jesus. These people just get on my nerves, just popping up and mad. And then Ramona was hanging in the background, And she overheard, and then she talked to Ghost about it. And she was like, you were so compassionate with her. And he was like, yeah, we just lost, somebody we were really close to. And so she goes and puts her cards out on the table. And I think one of the key lines she said is she doesn't want to compete with a ghost. I was like, baby, you standing before the great man himself, Ghost. Meanwhile, they meet up at the condo, the penthouse that was shot up by Tommy. And I guess they're selling it, or I don't know if they were renting that penthouse or what. But either way, Tasha has such a nasty attitude throughout this whole process. And I was just like, do you think James had something to do with his father's death? No, I think Kanan had something to do with his father's death. That's my theory, and I think that's why he ultimately got into the dope game and set up Kanan to take the fall, quiet as it's kept. Because if you listen to Ghost, when he was talking to Tommy, he always would tell Tommy stuff like, I didn't tell you the truth because we needed to get rid of those people out of your lives. And maybe he didn't tell the truth about Kanan because he knew that maybe Tommy wouldn't participate if he knew that he was the one who had killed his father. That's my theory. Queen Pen. No, remember, it's a Colombian. Her name is Griselda somebody. I think ultimately when she got out of prison, she went back to Colombia and somebody shot her in front of a taco stand. I think she was like 65 years old, which is a long time to live as a drug lord. I'll say that much. Let's see what else happened, because we got so Tasha has this whole stank ass attitude at the penthouse, and I'm thinking to myself, Tasha, the blood of Raina is also on your hands too. This whole fiasco could have been avoided if you had just gone along to get along and followed your husband instead of trying to lead everybody down to the road of temptation. And I love how James told her about the druggy daycare. I was like, oh my God, not the druggy daycare. What if that was the name on the door? Maybe he should go post that up there. The druggy daycare. I was dying. Ghost also told her that he knew that she had killed Tasha. I mean, Tasha had killed Keisha. But she counters to him and lets him know that I know you killed Terry Silva. They also have a discussion about Tariq being prosecuted by the feds and him taking the fall. Here's the thing. He's not going to take the fall for Tariq because what's going to end up happening, he will end up in the governor. He will be in Albany, as my friend Tammy likes to say. He'll be in Albany. And he might be able to do some things to keep Tariq out of trouble. But in the meantime, in between time, Tasha, you need to get over yourself, Miss Green. You are no longer Tasha St. Patrick, honey. And I like how he said it. He said that boy made a man's decision and he's got to face the consequences. And he's right. No jury, if it came to that, would convict him for avenging the death of not only his sister, but his twin sister. Okay. They've been together since day one. Okay. Raina shows up, and basically Raina schools us all is that because of the lies, that's what ultimately killed her. And she ultimately tells her father that he's got to face his consequences. So his lies, the parents' lies, she says, you taught us to lie. I mean, it was just a very eerie, deep conversation, but I liked it. I liked that conversation that they had. Then she disappears. Okay. Tariq is mad at his father because he's like, you promised me you would take the fall. And he was like, dude, that deal has changed because now my life is changing. And then he told him to confess. He wanted his father to confess to every drug deal, every kill, everything he ever did, every sin. He told him about some dude he had killed. And he said he only did it because Kanan forced his hand. Okay. I was very shocked to find Warner and Blanca before the judge with their faulty evidence, knowing that if the case ever went to trial, that Tate, if they put Tate on the stand, it would be suborning perjury. So I'm glad that ultimately at the end we see that the judge didn't approve it. Even with the cell phone, he was like, no, I'm not approving this. And Paz and Sachs were all upset. Sachs learns the fate of his case and the fact that he has to turn himself in and he's going to be prosecuted. He pulls out a gun. I was hoping he was going to shoot himself in the head, but I'm the king of wishful thinking. When Dre gets into lockdown, I guess the cell phone for 2-Bit is gonna use that. Well, I guess Ghost is gonna give him instructions for that. Not only was Paz upset, but Paz, Cooper Sachs, and Tate were all mad that the judge shut down the case due to the faulty evidence. It just wasn't, it was insufficient evidence. Dre calls Blanca as his one phone call, and she pulls a Sachs. She tells him what she wants him to say about the fact that he knew about James killing Terry Silver. And you knew the boy didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, because he said what? He killed him in an apartment. And I helped him. No, he killed him in a parking garage, bruh. Okay. At Club Truth, Kanan shows up after this party that they've had celebrating his lieutenant governorship. Kanan shows up. And he's right. Ghost, when he was talking to him, tells Kanan, I tried to get everyone out of the life. To this day, I have said this throughout this season and throughout this series. Tasha told Ghost, I want you to be the biggest drug dealer in New York. And so he was, and then he got out, and now y'all are all scrambling when he tried to get y'all out that life. Y'all could have still had the laundromats and the clubs, but y'all didn't want that life, okay? In the final scenes, we see all these people heading to Club Truth after everyone finds out that James has become somewhat Mr. Untouchable. And Blanca, I guess, is on her way to arrest him based upon the faulty witness statement from Dre. And Dre is out of jail. And we hear a gunshot. And then we see Ghost falling from his tower of power. And it's a shot to the chest. Now, January 15th, will we see Ghost alive and well? Or June 15th, the call to 2-Bit doesn't fit money. Well, the call to 2-Bit, I think he thought Dre was going to end up in lockdown with them because they were all going to end up in the same facility. And I think that he thought that 2-Bit would be the one to kill him. Between him and Spanky, they would come up with a plan to kill him, to get rid of Dre. But I don't think that Ghost will die. I think that Ghost will survive, because there is no power without James St. Patrick. There is no power without Omari Hardwick, quite frankly. God, that's a good looking man. Straight up out of Savannah, Georgia, raised in Decatur, West Greater. Okay. But I don't know what's going to happen. I think he will survive. I believe he will survive. But we know Blanca didn't shoot him. And I don't think Tommy got there in time. But Paz, Sachs, and maybe Tate shot him. And Tate was really, quote unquote, big mad at him. So he may have shot him. So I don't know. But that's all I have for this episode. I want to thank the few of you that did come on. I think he will. Tariq will take over. No, he won't. Tariq shot him. I don't think Tariq shot him either, because Tariq was walking the subway when he got out, and the shot was done while he was walking. We'll have to watch for June. I keep saying June. January 5th for the final episodes, and I'm curious to know how many more episodes there will follow after this, because IMDb is not giving me very much. Everyone's time stops at 2020. And I mean, not 2020, 2019. So the only person who's on IMDb that shows that they are a character in Power through 2020 is the guy that plays Simon Stern. That's the only one. Okay, so there's 5 more episodes. So, okay, they ordered 15 episodes this season. That's awesome. So either way, that's all I've got for Power. Real quick, I just wanted to comment on something that kind of disturbed me last night. So I don't know how many of y'all out there watch Ready to Love. I just got into season 2. Part of it is because I know one of my friends auditioned for the show. One of my comedian buddies auditioned. Unfortunately, he did not make the cut, but a female comedian did, Ashima Franklin. I don't personally know her, but I love her because my very first time seeing her was during a Cat Williams New Year's Eve comedy show at it wasn't Staples, it was then called the Nokia Theater, and then they changed it to some else. I think it's Microsoft now. But either way, I like Ashima. I love her style. I love her. She's a country girl. I love her. But last night, one of the guys, Mario, who is very attractive, by the way, had told this other girl, hey, maybe telling people you're a squirter, that's not really something I'm into. I don't. And then she immediately got upset and started crying, talking about, you're trying to control me. This is what happens in my past relationships, men trying to control me. And I was just like, it's not a matter of control. It's kind of just giving, if you really like him and you want to be in a relationship with him, I don't care what you say and do. If you want to say it in a group of people that, hey, I'm a squirter, that's great. That's on you. But what I was trying to say is that no man wants his boys, and I said that in quote, because, let's be real. Men make friends faster than females will, okay? They just be like, hey, you my friend now. So, yes, they all just met on the show. But all I was saying is that I think that if you want to be with Mario and he's looking at it from a long-term perspective, he doesn't want that to be like public knowledge. Like, this isn't for Freedom of Information Act where we all know your stuff. So I caught a little flack for that, but I just wanted to expound upon and explain what I was saying. I'm not saying that they all booed up into the relationship, but I think that first impressions are lasting impressions, in other words. But if that's how you are, that's fine. But I think he was just telling you, it's just not something that he would want everyone to know if you're going to be his lady. Okay. But either way, that's all I got. Thank you guys for joining. I am going to be reviewing Real Housewives of Atlanta this season. I'm not so sure about Married to Medicine. I've missed the last 2 episodes. I don't know why. I'm just not into it this season. But that's all I've got. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all pray for me. Tomorrow is my first day on my new position. So y'all be in prayer for me. Okay. As I learn it, I can tell you more about it. But I'm just hella blessed and I'm grateful to God, and God is so good. And so y'all have a great week. Be awesome. Chin up, buttercups. The sun will come out. I promise you. But in the meantime, in between time, stay fabulous. I've been Miss Sophia the Diva.